What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Movie Raised.
Finally, Massimo and Laura are coming back in the sequel of the Polish film 365 Days. From Laura falling in love with another guy to the appearance of Massimo's evil twin, this is why 365 Days 2 is about to blow your mind. Laura survives. The Polish descendant of 50 Shades of Grey will finally resume the story of our beloved couple, but it seems like they are about to embark on a dark and a bit disturbing adventure. The first film follows the couple through a Stockholm Syndrome plot with plenty of steamy scenes. He kidnaps her syndrome and tells her she has 365 days to fall in love with him. She doesn't need a year to develop feelings for him because, well, look at this guy. Anyway, there's a big cliffhanger at the end of the movie. The couple is all in love and ready to walk down the aisle, but their future suddenly becomes uncertain once a rival mafia member threatens to kill Laura. Luckily, we've been able to find out more about 365 Days' continuation in the book trilogy by Blanka Lipińska, a trilogy on which the franchise is based. Since there will be a sequel to the film, the female lead survives, but it seems like the follow-up will be nothing like what we saw in its predecessor. This time, the beloved couple will have to deal with secret twins, another love interest, and the real identity of Massimo. Let's get into details, shall we? As we already mentioned, everything goes according to plan by the movie's end. But when Laura and her best friend Olga are returning home, Mario, Massimo's loyal employee, gets a call in which someone tells him that Laura is in danger. This is where we see the car going into a tunnel but never getting out of it. And just as a police car stops by the tunnel, we see Massimo falling to the ground, screaming. He's obviously scared of what might happen to his loved one, but who threatened to kill her? Is it a mafia rival to Massimo? Is it his ex-girlfriend? Well, it's much more complicated than that. The most important thing is that the female lead does survive the end of the first film. There are 2 more books. Once you think of the plot of the first film, you'll realize that there's not much to think about. 365 Days features Laura Biel, a character played by Anna Maria Sieklucka, and Massimo Torricelli, played by Michele Morrone, as an incredibly attractive couple that resolves every issue with lovemaking. Often referred to as the most controversial film of 2020, 365 Days is the film that took the world by storm during the peak of the pandemic. On Rotten Tomatoes, the tale of a mobster kidnapping a woman of his dreams holds a 0% tomato meter score. Yes, this is a rare occasion, and for those of you not familiar with the tomato meter scores, this is bad. People who have left comments about the movie on the site explain the film as thoroughly terrible, and some even advised, if you find yourself watching this, make 0 expectations. The thing is, Netflix doesn't really care about bad reviews because as long as there are lots of people who will watch the sequel and bring cash to the streaming plant, then fans and critics' reviews don't play a huge role. The fact that there will be a sequel speaks enough of this issue. Anyway, it looks like the second part will not be the last thing we're seeing from the franchise. There are actually 2 more books from Lipińska, with a third final book called Kolejny 365 Dni for another 365 days. But let's focus on the second one for now and see what we should expect from the plot of the much-anticipated follow-up. Before we continue, make sure you share your own review of the first movie in the comments. Simone SUSINNA as NACHO. Normally, Michele Morrone announced that he'll be back to reprise his role as the gangster in the sequel, which means that Anna Maria Sieklucka will also come back as his love interest. Most of the cast of the first film will appear in the continuation, which means we're again seeing Magdalena Lamparska as Olga. However, some of the new cast additions will join the cast, just to make the central couple's journey more dramatic. One of the new characters will be played by Italian actor Simone SUSINNA. Apparently, SUSINNA will play Laura's new love interest. The crew behind her camera stays the same, with Blanka Lipińska as a producer, along with Barbara Białowąs and Tomasz Mandes, who also directed the first movie. Laura falls in love with Nacho. Oh boy, where do we start? Although the follow-up will alter a lot when compared to its source material, the film will still use the most important events from the book. The ending of the first book is quite similar to the film, with Laura getting pregnant with Massimo's child and other intention to get married. Their second book features their lavish wedding, and they actually live a good life in part 2. This is until Massimo's girl gets kidnapped again, but this time, he is not the one who did it. In fact, the new guy, Marcelo Nacho Matos, kidnaps her, and that's not the worst thing Massimo has to deal with. You see, his girlfriend falls in love with Nacho, which results in a huge fight between the two mafia rivals. The end with Laura being wounded. Still, not the worst thing that happens in the trilogy. A messed up continuation follows in the third final book, which starts with Massimo facing a difficult decision. He needs to either save the love of his life or their unborn child. He ends up saving his wife and never tells her he needed to choose between her and their child, so she believes she lost the child naturally. But this is a huge loss for both of them, so their future is destroyed. Laura then suffers from alcohol addiction, and since her husband is busy with work, she's really bored at home. This is when he gets her a dog that she names Prada. The dog doesn't solve their problems, and with her husband constantly focused on work, she finds herself falling in love with Nacho. Because of their terrible life, Massimo starts using drugs and he suffers from addiction. This is when Laura leaves her husband for this other guy, Nacho. And since we've all met Massimo, we can only imagine how mad he is when his loved one leaves him for a mafia rival. Laura then receives a package from her ex-husband in which she finds her dead dog. A bit later, she sees her ex with a new girl and immediately gets jealous. They have a talk in which he tells her he didn't send the dog and claims that Nacho is the one who did it. Then she gets back with Massimo, only to find out that he's been lying about everything. And he kidnapped her again using manipulation, of course. At the end of the trilogy, she goes back with Nacho. They leave the country with her expecting his child. A bit shocking, right? Fans hate the third book. With so many plot twists, miscarriage, alcohol, drug addiction, and well, one thing we forgot to mention, which is Laura requiring a heart transplant and Nacho procuring the heart. We completely understand why fans hate the final book of the trilogy. Fans of the novels obviously wished for Laura to end up with Massimo, but that's not the case. And now, fans of the film ask Netflix to make their original story that won't stay loyal to the source material. Would you guys rather see the story from the novel? Let us know. Release date. Sadly, the follow-up is not coming to Netflix this April, so we should expect to see it sometime in summer this year. A summer release in 2022 seems likely, and since viewers prefer to watch films from the comfort of their homes, 365 Days 2 will not make its release in theaters as planned initially, but will make it straight to Netflix. With the sequel getting close to its release date, it was also announced that the creators are already working on the third part. On a related note, what are your hopes for the second part? Let us know down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed our video, make sure you subscribe to our channel so you'll never miss any of our videos in the future. As always, thanks for watching.